Hello everyone, this is Shubham Divakar over here, and I welcome you all to this video wherein I would be discussing the solution to the problems which I had asked during the Introduction to Community Programming webinar, which we conducted last Saturday, that is on June 6th, and we got a very warm reception from the audience, and people are very eager to find the solution to the problems which I had asked, right? So basically the agenda here is to showcase the students like how I approach a problem and how I basically think, how basically we generally approach a competitive programming question, right? Questions are not very difficult, but yes, if you look at it in the first attempt, it would seem a bit difficult, but again, it's all about practice, right? So moving ahead to the questions, were, the first one was finding the last digit of factorial of n. Like given a number n, you need to find the last digit of the factorial of that number of n, right? Let's say if the number is 4, the factorial of 4 is 24, and we need to find not 24 but the last digit of 24, which is 4. So the interesting thing here to take from here is that do we really need to find the factorial, or we can simply observe a pattern and hopefully we can figure out something, right? So I would be solving it in both the ways, and we'll see what is the best option. Now the second one is given a non-empty array of integers in which every element appears twice except one element. So you need to find that one element which appears only once. Okay, so these are the two questions. So now let's move ahead to the first one, right? So basically in the first one, let's first try and find the factorial. Okay, and observe whether there is something that we can take from the factorial pattern, like factorial, the pattern in the factorial of the numbers, right? So let's first calculate the factorial. And I equal to 1, I less than equal to n, I plus plus, f is equal to f into I, and I think we are good to go with the factorial f, right? So let's check it out. We'll start with 2. Good, the factorial is 2. Now we'll go with 3, factorial is 6. We'll go with 4, factorial is 24. Now we don't need 24, but we need this 4, right? So how we'll get this 4? We'll simply divide it by 10. We'll not divide, but the 4 would be the remainder over here, so it would be f modulo 10, right? So let's go for 5. It's 120, the last digit would be 0, so 0 would be our answer in this case. Now if I move on to 7, the answer is still 0, the last digit is still 0. Now if I move on to 8, the last digit is still 0. So what I am able to conclude from this pattern is that since after 5, since 5 was the first place where 0 appeared in the end, so since this is basic mathematics, right, and whenever we multiply 10 with any number like 120, if we multiply any number 1 2 3 4, any integer we multiply with 120, 0 would always appear at the end. So any number greater than 5 will always produce a number, the factorial would be a number having 0 in the end. So we do not need to calculate that, we can simply print that it would be 0 for any number greater than 5, but for numbers less than s we need to calculate and we need to print the factorial modulo or f modulo 10. So just a small modification and we are good to go with this. Okay, so if the number is less than 5, we simply, what we will do is we will be getting the factorial and then we would be printing the last digit, else, which means if the number is greater than 5, it would be simply 0 in all the cases. Okay, so let's check this out. For 7 it's 0 for any number, right? For even for 9 it would be 0, but for 4 it won't be 0, it would be 4 because the factorial is 24, right? So as you can see, we do not need to compute the factorial again and again for every number, right? So this is the approach. Now all you need to do is to think and analyze and first try to figure out a way, another way, in fact, rather than going ahead with a naive solution which I did in the first part initially. So moving ahead with the second one, again the first one was very easy. Now the second one, it's a bit tricky, I would say. It's not easy, it's easy, but it's a bit tricky. The question is there on the lead code, right? So I would show you that. So this is the question over here, which is given given a number, given a non-empty array of integers, every element appears twice except for one element. You need to find a single one. Now, the important thing that we need to take care is the algorithm should have a linear runtime complexity, which would mean it should run in O of n, and we are not supposed to use any extra memory, right? So it should be running in O of 1 space complexity. So as you can see, I've already written down the answer because I was testing it out. So first I would talk to you about what exactly we need to do. Uh, what I would first tell you is that we need to go through bit manipulation, right? And you need to specifically learn about XOR operators. If you know, it's very good. If you don't know, I'll tell you. Let's say you have two inputs A and B. Now let the both inputs be 2 and 1. Now if you do XOR of 2 and 1, right, it would produce you and give you some output. But if both the inputs are same, let's say it's 2 and 2, and if you do XOR of 2 and 2, it would give you 0 as the output. So the thing which we need to take from this point is XOR operators always gives you 0 whenever the elements are same, correct? So let's say we do the XOR of all the elements 2 to 1 over here. So what we would be getting, it would be 1. Now one thing more, if this 1 is present in between 2 and 2, like if it's 2 1 2 and still we do this OR, then what do you think the answer would be? Now many of you might be thinking that it will not be 0, but the thing is it will still be 0 because 2 XOR 2 XOR 2 XOR 1 will give you an answer. And if you do XOR, you can check that out by doing it on pen and paper also. So 2s or 1s or 2 will also give you 1 only, right? So the only thing that we need to do is run a loop, and inside the loop will run from int I equal to 1 to I less than nums dot length. Nums dot length would give me the length of the array. Okay, it's less than I is less than nums dot length I plus plus, and here we need to do answer is equal to answer XOR nums of I, and then we need to simply return this, right? So the syntax might change with respect to C and C++, but this XOR operator remains the same, and we simply need to do XOR, and let's first check it what's actually working or not. Okay, wrong answer. Okay, I ran this from I equal to 1, it should be I equal to 0. Yeah, it's correct. Let's check. Yeah, I think yes, a few minutes ago it's accepted. Great. So this is the solution to the problem. Now we are not using any extra space over here, like many people what they think initially is that they can use a hash map to store the count of the elements or the frequency of numbers, and then whenever the frequency is 1, then you print the element, right? So that is a very naive approach. We do not need to do that. We can simply use bit manipulation to get to the answer, right? So we are done with the two questions. Now the important part. Now the important part is we are coming up with 3 very important online courses for competitive programming, 2 of which are not free, but one is absolutely free, and which is the most important one, right? So we are coming up with an online DSA course which is completely focused on dealing with data structures. Then the second was in competitive programming, wherein we would be teaching data structures as well as dealing with the problems of competitive programming. Some tips and tricks are there. It's more than DSA. Advanced DSA is also there in competitive programming online course. So there are a lot to take from these two courses. So the third most important thing is online problem solving and doubt clearing courses which are coming up. Now what you need to do in this, it's basically not a course, but it's mostly a doubt solving session. What you need to do is form a group of minimum 5 and maximum 10 students, and then you need to book a slot. Okay, and where you would be booking a slot, we would be putting up the links in the description. You can check that out. And what we would do is we would as per the availability, we would uh, ask you all to like basically what we would be doing in this doubt clearing course is that you would be bringing your own topic wherein you want us to throw some light upon. It would be maximum of 1 hour, right? So 45 minutes to 1 hour, it would be maximum of that time duration. So what you need to do is simply come up with a topic wherein you can discuss over there, wherein you can clear your doubts. Basically it's a problem solving as well as doubt clearing course, right? So